Yeah, I just want to say how grateful I am to be here in this studio with you in these times. I'm actually grateful to be having a wisdom dialogue with you today. And a wisdom dialogue is a dialogue informed by silence and source out of wisdom, aimed at activating a new dialogue for humanity, hopefully a dialogue towards peace. And so I'd love just to enjoy a little bit longer our silence together before we move into a generative dialogue. Let's see what wants to unfold. And as I anticipated, I sense the dialogue may want to focus on the theme of leading a walk towards peace. That seems quite necessary these days. So let's just enjoy silence that has already been infused with gratitude. And we take just a few minutes and as much as we feel is necessary. And then we'll just engage in a dialogue for as long as we like. Thank you again.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As I enjoy the silence, I'm taken to realize how our breath takes us on a walk towards peace. And it starts with an act of leadership, we could say, of leading our attention towards our breath. And as we are carried by the breath, our hand is carried by a breath, we are taken onto a path that progressively, easily, gradually, gently take us on to a state of peace. It may take some time. You may need to overcome some hurdles. Might take us to a place that is self-sufficient, is a place, a resourceful place, full of resources. Is also a place that resources us, reconnects us to our inner source. And in that place, it feels like we just need to surrender. So I'll just start with that.
Very good. Walking is very natural to ourselves. We often don't value our 2 legs and 2 feet. We think brain is more important, and thinking and mind is more important. Intellectual ideas are more important. but it's the legs and the feet which move us. In the Upanishads, we have a mantra about walking. Charaiveti, Charaiveti, Charaiveti. It's always pronounced 3 times. So, Charaiveti means walk on, walk on, walk on. And 3 times walk on also moves, move on, flow, as another word for walking, flowing, going with the flow. So walking is literally important, but also metaphorically important. Because we have to move on in life. If we get stuck, we get stagnant. So move on. Walk in your consciousness as well as physically. So our Upanishad rishis, sages, teach us that don't get stuck in any one fixed ideas, philosophy, religion. Always discover new and fresh. Nature is always new and fresh. Nature comes with seasons and moves on. Spring moves on to summer, and summer moves on to winter, and winter moves on to autumn, and then winter, and winter moves on to spring again. So it's a cycle, and it's moving on. So it's a movement, charaiveti, 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 move, mentally and physically, literally and metaphorically. And when you move, then you are more at peace. Because it brings you freshness, brings you new thinking, new ideas, new understanding, new realization, new consciousness, new wisdom, always fresh. And so peace is related to this movement. We have to walk for peace. So all great teachers walked. When the Buddha was enlightened in Bodh Gaya, he said, now I'm going to walk for peace. So he walked a few hundred miles from Bodh Gaya to Varanasi, Sarnath. And that's after walking a few hundred miles, he gave his first sermon, first teaching in Sarnath. But before giving his teachings, he walked from Bodh Gaya to Sarnath, Varanasi. And so, in the same way, in the rest of his life, he always walked, did not stay in one place. But so sadhus in India always walk. And as a monk, I walked. I never stayed in one place for more than 3 nights. Always moved. So you are at home wherever you are. The earth is your home. Eco, oikos, home, earth home. And so feel at home on this earth and keep moving. And that way you achieve peace.
Beautiful. I love this notion of movement, flow, motion that take us, makes us anew, refreshes us. And as we move, we find peace. Again, this movement requires an intentional move, right? So it's a choice of moving to get to peace. And as you were describing this beautiful mantra, I got the image of a trekking trail. And when we go on a trekking trail with friends or family, it's often the case that we start after a while being silent, and we walk on our own for a while. And that allows us to recalibrate inside. And as we take one step after the other, something recalibrates. There's a coherence that gets established inside. And it's so beautiful when, after a while, having been inspired by the beauty and the beautiful landscape, we get ideas, as you said, we get new wisdom, we get new insights, and we get to share those insights with the companion or companions walking with us. So it's like walking allows to recalibrate, physically but also metaphorically, as you said, and open to the oikos, open to the earth, open to the landscape around us with fresher eyes, and appreciate the diversity around us, also appreciate the other views, but also be more able to engage in a dialogue with others around us, to exchange.
You know, the Christian monastic orders and monasteries, they had cloisters. And so when you are studying, monks will be studying, not sitting down, but walking in cloisters, up and down, walking in the cloisters. Even though it was in a built house and beautifully built, covered, so you were warm and you were not wet if it was raining, and you were not in the wind. So you were protected from the elements, and yet you were out in nature. So nature you could, and outside the cloister there will be a little garden, and there will be some birds and some flowers and some herbs and some trees and some natural element. So nature was very close to them. So it's a kind of balance between being protected under the roof of the cloister and at the same time being in touch with natural elements and beauty and serenity of nature. So that was a very beautiful way to be a spiritual person, walking meditation. And therefore, even in Buddhist traditions, for example, Thich Nhat Hanh, he started a very good tradition of walking meditation. And so he will go from his abode, from his monastic room, out in nature and step by step. You're not going anywhere. There's no destination. Just step by step, mindfully walking, feeling the earth, feeling nature, feeling air, feeling atmosphere, observing the trees. And that mindfulness of each step you are taking, mindfully, that was a beautiful way of meditation. So, from the cloisters of the Christians to the Buddhist monasteries of Thich Nhat Hanh and Plum Village, it's very wide. And as a Jain monk, I always walked. So, walking is a very wonderful way of accomplishing peace. Because your heart is at peace, your soul is at peace, your mind is at peace when you are walking. So this is why I walked for peace from India to America, because that was a very important, that rather than going to Moscow, Paris, London, Washington to talk about peace, walking for peace and meeting people and walking in the mountains for peace, walking in the deserts for peace, walking in the snow for peace, walking in the forest for peace, walking in the jungles, and walking in the also concrete jungles. And so villages and towns and cities and mountains and forests and deserts and nature and humans everywhere. So you are in true relationship. And peace is true harmonious relationship. And we are walking, you are in harmonious relationship with the earth, with yourself and with everybody you meet. So you have a peace within yourself, peace with everybody, whatever your religion, whatever your nationality, whatever your language, whatever your politics, just humans. So you make peace with them. And then peace with nature, peace with animals, peace with mountains and forests, and peace with soil and land and birds, peace with nature. So that is how walking and peace is so related.
Yeah, when the idea of walking as a form of meditation and a form of reflection, pondering questions, is also, it's the practice that you mentioned about the monks, is also the practice that in Latin was called solvitur ambulando.
Yes.
Which, as we walk, we solve doubts and questions. So
Yes.
oftentimes you would start that journey with a question or an inquiry, and that inquiry would just sit with you or walk with you,
Yes. Yes.
walk through you.
Yes.
And also I love this intertwining of a walking and peace making, because in a way walking suggests that I walk towards you or towards others. I don't just stay in my firm beliefs, but always try to move towards another perspective or take a further step
Yes.
towards someone or something. So trying various avenues, trusting that all avenues will take you to the destination.
Peace is your destination.
And peace is your destination.
Yes.
But also when you walk, as you said, you enjoy the walking. So you're holding gently that destination in mind, on your heart, but you don't mind walking towards it, where it will take you a few hours or days or months or years in your case. So it would be so lovely and so wise if in these days of turmoil we were to walk more inside and outside, holding peace as a common destination. We may all have different avenues that we are thinking we can take and others that are too steep to take. But ultimately, just the fact of walking towards that goal will take us somewhere.
Yeah. Yes, take us somewhere, and that somewhere is everywhere. Because the nature of the universe, nature of the spirit, nature of the consciousness is cyclical. So you are walking, but you are not in a linear way, but in a more cyclical way. So you walk and you return home, and you walk, return to your soul. Home is not just a physical bricks and mortar, but home is your soul, your spirit. So you return to yourself. You go out in the world and you return to yourself. And therefore, this journey to yourself is as important as going out in the world. Because, as I said, in Sanskrit, we always say peace 3 times. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Because first peace is the peace within yourself. And so you return to your home, to yourself, and make peace with yourself. Because you are microcosm of macrocosm. You are the miniature universe. You are earth, air, fire, water. The sun is in you, the moon is in you, the stars are in you, the evolution is in you, the history is in you. You were there at the time of the Big Bang. You were there, present in the form of gas and energy. And that gas and energy evolved into you after billions of years. And so this journey, the universe is on a journey. Earth is on a journey. Earth is always moving. Earth is on a journey. And yet it's not going anywhere. It's a cyclical journey. So Evolution is also a cyclical journey. We evolve with ideas and then we return to our source. So there is a perennial wisdom, which is the kind of source or the home. And that perennial wisdom is expressed in many different languages by traveling, by going around the world, by meeting people, sadhus and monks and philosophers, peripatetic schools where they walked. And so I have many, many great teachers who walked. Vinoba Bhave walked. He was a great spiritual man and he walked 100,000 miles for 10 years, non-stop, every day. That's amazing. And Shankaracharya walked from Kerala to four corners of India and he established Shankaracharya Ashram, Peeth, in the east, in Puri, in the north, in Badrinath, in Himalayas, mountains, on the west, Dwarka, and in the south, Kanyakumari. So he walked all over India and he lived only about, I can't remember exactly, but 30 or 40 years. He died at age between 30 to 40, somewhere. So that in that young age, he traveled all over India, established ashrams in four places, four corners of India, and did a lot of teaching, a lot of translating of Bhagavad Gita, of many other Upanishads and so on in Sanskrit and his commentary. And so walking is a kind of fundamental need for the spiritual growth. And for peace. Spiritual growth leads to peace.
What I love also, moved by your beautiful sharing, is that when we walk, it feels like we are integrating our different centers, our head, heart, and body. So they are somehow all functioning at the same time so that we can walk. We are using our body to walk us into the path. Our heart is physically pumping and nourishing the entire body to move, but also opening and sensing to all the beauty that's around. And the head is somehow also helping us be on that walk in various ways. So, whereas when we tend to stay put, we tend to forget some of the centers. So we tend to forget maybe the body and not be so responsive or open to what the body feels and perceives, or the heart. So in that aspect, I'm taken to recognize the importance of these other centers as a way of invitation we have to integrate the head, the heart, the hands. I speak about strategy, wisdom, and action altogether. But it's also recognizing that the heart is at the center of that integration. And so leading a walk towards peace is a walk that starts in the heart and takes us closer in the heart of life, in the heart of humanity. I'll pause here.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes. In our modern education, we have forgotten this trinity of head, heart, and hands. We bring mainly the head. And also in our brain, we have two hemispheres, left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere is more about logic, rationalism, reasoning, administration, management, organization, business, politics, all that is part of our left brain. And our right brain is more connected with the spirit, with intuition. And we have not paid much attention in our education. Our universities and schools spend years and years and years and millions and millions and millions of euros and dollars and pounds and so on, just training the left brain. So what we need is a kind of revolution in our educational system by which we pay attention to both hemispheres of the brain. That's a proper education of head. Then we also need to cultivate our heart qualities. And one of the most important heart quality is courage. At the moment, majority of our society lacks courage and a lot of fear. So our education and our upbringing from a childhood, we need to learn to cultivate our heart qualities, which is courage. Courage comes from the heart. Courage. And then we have to encourage the courage. And then when you have a courage, then you have a trust. Courage leads to trust because you are not fearful, therefore you can trust. You can trust the other. You can trust. So when I was walking around the world for peace, I did not carry any money and no fear. And I said, if you are Muslims, I trust you. If you are Christians, I trust you. If you are communists, I trust you. If you are capitalists, I trust you. So the courage and letting go of fear helps you to cultivate the trust. And without trust, there is no peace. Fear leads to war. Trust leads to peace. So education of heart is to cultivate that courage, that trust, and courage and trust leads to compassion, kindness, generosity, respect, and love in the end. Love is the ultimate goal of heart. And then education of hands, as you said, body and hands. That's very important because through our hands we express our imagination and our creativity. So we can garden with our hands, we can cook with our hands, we can build with our hands, we can make sculptures with our hands, we can make paintings with our hands. Hands are a miracle. With these two hands we can transform ordinary into extraordinary. So education of hand is missing. Everything is now done by machine, and most of us just use our hands for the smartphone or the computer and nothing much more, very little. Even the food is now cooked, ready-made food in supermarkets. You buy and put in the microwave and eat it. So lots of people are forgetting the art of cooking. And the gardening is also not much there. Lots of people are forgetting the art of gardening, and art of building, and art of making. So we have become consumers rather than makers. So peace is not just the absence of war. Peace is a way of harmonious living, and in harmony with head, harmony with heart, and harmony with hands. That's the kind of practical application of this philosophy of walking for peace in a very practical way.
Mm. Yeah, and in the heart, also if you look at the shape of the heart, it reflects somehow a left and a right part, or a lower and a higher chamber. And so in the heart, we integrate the left and the right hemisphere.
Yes, yes.
And the heart has a capacity which is much wider than the capacity of the brain to hold complexity and paradoxes.
Yes.
So in the heart, we synthesize, we integrate, we make peace.
Yeah.
And through the hands and the body, we embody.
Yeah.
that peace,
Yeah.
that wisdom. In some ways, we amplify the transmission, the reflection, the expression
Yes.
of that peace outside. And as I'm saying that, I'm also moving my hands
Yes.
as a way to reverberate
Yes.
what I'm saying. And I love this idea that it starts with courage, it starts with the heart. Courage in French has also to do with walking
Yeah.
with the heart.
Really.
Yeah. And so, despite the fears, despite regardless of the situation, we still walk with our heart. And I have this image of walking, really holding our heart,
Yes.
naked,
Yeah.
in a quite vulnerable way, but authentic way. Trusting, as you're saying, that it will lead us, it will allow us to go beyond what we see visible and possible. So there's the act of faith, there's that trust that we will get to see new possibilities, new openings. And I love the fact that the heart is what allows us to walk, what allows us to move towards it, what allows us to manifest peace. And you spoke about the making that is so much lost these days. We tend to have everything pre-made, or even not even made, it's all digitalized. But I think we are forgetting that we are makers, as you said, but also that we are co-creators.
Yes.
So together with everything that's around us, we co-create.
Everything is co-created. All our thriving is mutual. Nothing can exist by itself. We come into existence only through mutuality, through relationship. Not even an atom can exist by itself. Not even an electron or proton can exist by itself. Existence happens only in co-creation and in mutuality and in relationship. When you and I sit together, only then this dialogue can happen. Without that, it will not. So that mutuality, that reciprocity, that co-creation is fundamental to our existence, the existential principle. Without co-creation and without relationship, there's no existence. It's existential principle. So, a scientist cannot find an atom by itself. There is no such thing as one single atom. Even the atom is made of more than one atom or more than one element. Electron, proton, smallest of the small, still exist only in relationship. Yeah.
And it's beautiful because we do live in a matrix of relationships.
Yeah.
And I remember we spoke about consciousness being existential.
Yes.
And love being relational.
Yes.
And the two go together.
Yes.
So only by intertwining the two we get to experience the whole.
Yes.
And so in that exchange, in that dialogue we are having with ourselves, with wisdom, with consciousness, you mentioned spirit, we get to co-create, we get to be in an exchange that is co-creative. And peace ultimately is that co-creation, is that unity at the highest level. And I was particularly moved when you said that this is a practical way to move towards peace. Because most of us, given the circumstances, can feel quite distant from peace. From inner peace, but also from outer peace, because all that's happening outside and how it reflects on the inside. So I think that appreciating that there are small steps that we can take towards inner peace, but also towards the global peace, is very important.
Yeah. In order to have a global peace, you also, or we, humanity, also need to embrace diversity. The global is not monocultural, it's not monolithic. It's made of millions and millions of forms. So, if we want global peace, then we need embracing diversity of political systems, economic systems, religions, languages, philosophies, way of doing things, way of being. And what happens in our modern world? We come to a conclusion of uniformity, and we want to make everybody the same. Everybody should speak English language, everybody should eat at McDonald's, everybody should drink Coca-Cola, everybody should follow American way or Western way or communist way or capitalist way or some way. So this idea of uniformity leads to war. Because when we want to impose uniformity and people don't accept our uniformity, our way of thinking or our way of politics or our way of economics or whatever, then we go to war. So you are wrong, and therefore I'll conquer you and convert you to my. So uniformity leads to war. Diversity leads to peace. And so for global peace, you need to embrace diversity. Let 1,000 flowers bloom. That has to be a mantra in order to make global peace. Otherwise, America wants China to be like America, and China wants America to be like China, and so on and so on and so on. So we can go on fighting. I am right, you are wrong, my truth above your truth. So diversity of truths. There's no one single truth which everybody can accept in our language or words. There may be one truth, a universal truth, but that universal truth has many dimensions, many aspects. And so we have to see that universal truth in its many dimensions, and that's a diversity. So truth diversity. There's no one single truth which any one country or one person or one philosopher or one religion can possess or claim. So accepting other people's truth and respecting them. So this is why I believe that we need to bring love first before truth. Because truth has diversity. But love is the unifier. Love is a relationship.
Because love is acceptance.
Love is acceptance. Acceptance of differences. Acceptance of diversity. Acceptance of different philosophies, different way of doing things, different way of being things. So you can cook potatoes in 50 different ways, and each way is a good way. There's no one way to cook potatoes. There's no one way to cook rice. There's no one way to do politics. There's no one way to write poetry. There's no one way to sing a song. There are many, many ways to do it. And this is nature, and evolution favors diversity. No two human beings look alike or same. No two trees are same. No two sand dunes are same. Each and every kind of part of creation has its own uniqueness, diversity. And yet they are all made of earth, air, fire, water, and consciousness. These are the 5 basic elements which make the universe. Earth, air, fire, water, and consciousness. But the manifestation of these 5 elements is in billions and trillions and countless forms. If we embrace that, then I think global peace is possible. Diversity is the royal road to global peace, and uniformity is the dark path to war and conflict and exploitation and subjugation and arrogance. My truth, I know the truth, I know the way, you don't know the way. So arrogance, the ego. Whereas in a diversity of truth and in global peace, we have to pursue that with humility, with egolessness, And that's very important.
Yeah, that somehow brings me to this notion of waves and particles. There are multiple particles through which the wave takes shape. And so there's a diversity in all the particles, in all the expressions of life. And you spoke about all the different languages and different politics and different ways of doing things. So when we trust the way of walking and we embrace that ability of love, of accepting diversity, we get to a place where we realize that the truth is in everything and that the wave somehow manifests in every particle. So
Yes.
we get to see the invisible thread that unites all the different manifestations, the
Yes.
different aspects of everything. And in that, there's a beautiful opening towards a much larger truth that we're all one.
Yeah.
So it's that oneness that we get to experience as we allow all the diverse aspects
Yeah.
of ourselves to be
Yes.
to coexist.
Yes. Yes. So unity is not uniformity. Unity is manifesting in diversity and not in uniformity. And diversity is not division and not conflict, no separation. Diversity does not mean there is a conflict or division. So we can embrace unity and diversity without turning unity into uniformity and diversity into division. That's the crux of the matter. And if we embrace that, then we can celebrate the diversity. We can celebrate the beauty of diversity.
And yet, I think what brings us into not fully following this approach
Yeah,
is the fear and the notion of time.
yeah,
Because even if we could idealistically think that it's a beautiful thing to embrace all diversities, yet time may call us into efficiency. What's the shortest distance from A to B? From a place of conflict to a place of peace. And so how can we make it in the shortest time? Because we fear that if it were to take longer, we might not be there when the peace arrives. And so I think that that is an important aspect to take also into account on the one end, how we allow this approach also to coexist with the idea that time is running away. Then we could also make some considerations around whether time is running away or not.
yes, yes, yes. The thing is that the notion of time has many philosophical traditions and interpretations. So the Aboriginal people had two different ideas of time: the clock time, the measured time, and the dream time. And so you measure time in hours and days
Yes.
and weeks and months and years and so on. That's a clock time, and that's very convenient. So it's a useful measure, so that when you and I want to meet, we say we'll meet on such and such date at a such a time, and you come there and I come there and we meet. So there's a very practical, very pragmatic dimension of time. But once we meet, then we are in a dream time, an eternal time. We are not looking at the clock. We are in the kind of eternal time. And then there is no hurry. You do whatever time it takes, it takes. When God made time, he or she made plenty of it. It's eternal time. Dream time is eternal time. There is no end and there is no beginning. It's a beginningless and endless. We call Anadi Anand. No beginning, no end. So that's a dream time, the eternal time. And we need to keep that in mind all the time. even when we are working within a
Towards
limited
peace.
time, to a measured time or clock time. Because time is our friend. Time is not our enemy. We don't have to work against time. Time will work with us. And whatever you make, time is there, like space is there to build your house, to whatever, do a garden or do whatever you want to do. For space is your friend to make things happen. The same way, time is your friend to make things happen in time. And so, universe has given you these two great gifts, space and time, so that you can do what you like. And the time is eternal. The Buddha was in time, the Lao Tzu was in time, Jesus was in time, Shakespeare was in time, Dante was in time, everything was in time. But yet, they come, they go, and time is still there. So we don't need to have pressure of time, and yet we go with the clock time, and we have to have limited time, and we have to achieve certain things. But even the idea of achievement is something we have to understand. Achievement is only a temporary thing. It's not a permanent thing. Permanence is only in action. You act and you act and you act. What you achieve is temporary. It will disappear and you have to act again. You cook and then food has gone and digested and you went to toilet and then you are hungry again and you cook again. So you are acting without desire for the fruit of your action. You are acting without the idea of accomplishment or achievement or some sort of outcome. Action has itself its own intrinsic value. So you and I are talking now. This talking, this dialogue, this conversation has its own value, intrinsic value. Now, in this moment, not tomorrow, not 1 hour later, not what you do with this conversation. You can record it, but doesn't matter. But the joy, the pleasure, the upliftment, the enlightenment, the beauty of this dialogue is in the dialogue itself. So there's no pressure of time. As long as we want, we can have this dialogue, and that's it. And so, if we can free ourselves from the desire of separate achievement out other than action. You do action to achieve something. You do action to act. You love to love. There's no purpose to love. You love so that you can love. You don't love somebody to achieve something. You love because love itself has its intrinsic value. So, and every action is an expression of love. And therefore, you do it to do it. You love to love. You don't love for something else. And that's the reason that we have idea of eternal time and dream time. And the clock time is to help, but not to hinder, not to put a pressure on us.
So this is beautiful because in somehow this also relieves us from the pressure of achieving peace.
Exactly.
So the act of walking towards peace, of leading towards peace, is a peace act
Yes.
itself.
Yes. So you are being peace rather than hoping to achieve peace tomorrow. Being peace now. So being peace, if everyone tried to be peace at this moment, there'll be no war. But peace is always in the distance somewhere tomorrow and not today. That's why the being peace is as important as anything else.
Thank you. I'm nourished by this dialogue we had, this exchange of dialogue beyond time
Yes.
and space.
Yes.
And just wonder whether there's anything more that wants to be said as we wrap up with regards to how to further embody peace in these days.
Yes, yes. I mean, the way to embody peace is to be at peace within yourself. Because quite often we don't realize who we are and our true potential and our true divinity. And therefore we are hankering for peace somewhere else. But peace, the seeds of peace are within you. Seeds of peace are not in politics. Seeds of peace are not in government. Seeds of peace are not in money or business. Seeds of peace are in your heart. So if each and every one of us can recognize our own potential, our own divinity, our own sacredness, and the peace is in me. When I am at peace, there will be peace in the world. When I'm not at peace, there will be no peace in the world. So world and I are not separate. I am contributing to peace of the world by being at peace in myself. So that is, I think, a concluding remarks that I would like to make is that Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. So peace within our heart is the seed. And then that seed will grow into the tree of peace with people. And then the fruit will be the peace with nature and universe. But if there's no seed and no soil and no peace in your heart, you cannot have tree and you cannot have fruit.
Mm.
So that's the metaphor that we have to remember. The seed of peace is in you, and only through that seed you can make a tree of peace and a fruit of peace.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm just also reminded that when we were speaking about the many conflicts that are popping up everywhere, it's hard to see conflicts in nature.
Yeah.
Because when we think about bees or birds or fish, there may be some acts of violence, but most of the times there's peace everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's different species and different tribes within a species coexist peacefully. And also, if I look at any natural manifestation, thinking about a tree or a rose or a mountain or anything, it's at peace. It's hard to find, impossible to find a tree that is not at peace.
Yes.
No matter the conditions, no matter the circumstances, no matter the weather conditions,
Yes.
whether it's windy or it's dry, the tree itself, of the plant itself, of the natural manifestation itself, is always at peace, is always
Absolutely.
dancing with nature.
Absolutely.
And as we are nature ourselves,
Yeah.
we are born with that capacity to be peace.
Yes. Beautiful.
So thank you, Satish, for your time, for your space,
My pleasure. My pleasure.
for your beautiful walks.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for walking us towards peace.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure. Nice to have this dialogue with you.
Thank you.